Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new season of the Not Fancy League. We are back for year two. Very, very excited to be here again this year. Tyler, do you have any thoughts as we kick off this first video of this first season, or the second season?
Yeah, new league, new hopes. Everyone thinks they're going to win it. I'm the only one that's correct. Let's get to see things started.
Yep, so the first thing I wanted to go over is that we had two teams drop out, two owners, or governors, as you say. We don't say owners. So we have Joe and Zach are going to be joining our league. They're replacing Derek and Theo. They are no longer with us. It was a difference of opinions on if you should be in a fantasy league. Long story there. But yeah, we have two new guys, so very, very grateful to have them. They took the teams as is, so not a lot of changes to rosters beyond the draft. Do you have any thoughts on the new people coming in the league, Tyler?
No, Joe will be great. He caught you cheating in Fantasy once. He'll probably catch you doing it again. And then Zach, a.k.a. Ryan Day, the guy who inhabits a second-place team and then talks the most crap for doing nothing. It'll be very interesting when he won't make the playoffs this year. So I'm excited.
Yeah, as a reminder, only 4 teams make the playoffs, so it is hard to get in. But yeah, Zach, as you said, bored on third, thought he had a triple, inheriting one of the best teams in our league. But he didn't have a quarterback, so that was kind of what he did in the draft. But before we get into the draft, we did have a very major trade. So Tyler tanked a lot last season. I also tanked a lot last season in competition for that number 1 pick, and we ended up making a trade. So I traded up to number 1, and Tyler traded back to number 2. So I really wanted Bijan. That was my thought process. I thought he was better than anybody else on the board. Tyler, I'm curious to hear your thought process, why you were willing to trade back. I'll put up the full trade details here and like why you were okay with this.
Yeah, I was getting a few trade rumors or offers, and I wanted, like, if I was going to get him, I would rather also get Gibbs. If I trade back to 3 or even farther back, I wouldn't think I'd be able to get him. And I get your first next year with Marquise Brown, who I think I drafted, so that's a nice full circle. And so, I don't know. I'm already Team Marvin Harrison Jr. project started. So
what, are you saying you're going to tank again?
We'll give it 3 weeks and decide from there. But
I'm not going to take it
also,
again,
I was thinking, like, maybe just plan for future. If Bijan doesn't work or Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't work, I have multiple assets.
Yeah, that's true.
Risk mitigation,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
To diversify your portfolio.
Yeah, and for me, I guess I kind of talked about it. I thought Bijan was better than anybody else that was really on the board, and I really, really needed a running back. I had Javonte Williams last year go down. I had no other running back keepers, so that was why I went with Bijan and really kind of gave up a lot, I thought, to move up one spot. But let's go into this full draft recap. Here's the full draft board. We're going to go through this. You can see all of the picks, all the players over there, and all the keepers are down at the bottom. So that we went through the first 2 picks. The third pick was Anthony Richardson. So let's just go there. You can see those quarterbacks. It was Richardson at 3, Bryce Young at 9, and then C.J. Stroud in the second round at 9. So do you have any thoughts on those 3 quarterbacks, Tyler, about where they got drafted, how you would rank those guys? Was it the right order or the wrong order? What do you think?
I think Anthony Richardson going first is probably the best choice, just because his athleticism and, like, there's the floor a quarterback gets if he's able to run.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a vital thing. We saw with Fields last year. And Richardson is maybe even arguably more athletic, so there could be a lot of upside when he's still figuring out, like, the mechanics. Ryan Day did get Stroud and Young.
I have Young, because that pick was mine for the Tyreek Hill trade last year.
There we go. Okay, that's right. I don't know. I was maybe go Stroud, maybe just because I think Stroud might have a little more running floor, but honestly, it's both are shots at the dark, so whatever you liked more is okay. But I think Anthony Richardson was clear the best fantasy rookie available.
Yeah, probably the best fantasy asset. The way I was viewing those quarterbacks was you don't really know who's going to be the best out of the 3. If any of those 3 were the best, you wouldn't necessarily be surprised. So it was interesting to see how spaced out those 3 were. I ended up getting Bryce Young. I remember at the end of last year, I thought it was a 2-player draft, Bijan and Bryce Young, and I got both of them. I'm very, very happy with that. But yeah, it was the C.J. Stroud late in the second round like that. I thought was a pretty good pickup for Zach, who really didn't have any quarterbacks. That was the only thing his roster lacked, was a decent quarterback, and he at least has some upside there. So moving on, we got this number 5 pick. So Adrian traded for Aaron Jones last year. He got him from you, and it gave up a first-round pick for him. It ended up being the number 8 pick. And Aaron Jones was not kept by Adrian, so pretty much he just gave you a free first-round pick. So I guess shout out the Big Munch right there because I just wanted to bring light to that. That was an amazing trade by Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to go for a playoff push. It didn't work out. Maybe he'll try it next year, and maybe it'll be better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I was surprised he didn't keep Aaron Jones. I mean, who else does he have that could have been dropped? It's a lot of good talent there, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? It's looking back.
Yeah. He had
If he made the
both of
playoffs, it would have counted, but...
Yeah, it's true.
he didn't make the
Well,
playoffs.
he did make the playoffs. He just lost.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
You're good. You're
Great analysis, Tyler.
You're good.
Uh,
Yeah, and then so the very last thing I wanted to go over before we go to these full draft grades is Jonathan Taylor. And he's probably one of the weirdest fantasy players going into this year. And I don't really know how to value him. He was picked in the first round in our draft. Is that a good pick in your opinion, or is that a bad pick in your opinion? How do you view Jonathan Taylor in our format with the keepers and what he's going to do from this point forward?
so it's a little hard to tie because obviously he's already gone for 4 weeks
Mhm.
on the PUP list. He could be gone this whole year, but if he, let's say, gets traded to a team that actually wants him, I think the Packers were trading for him. A lot of other teams were trying to trade for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like a legit ad set, then he's on your team until you don't want him.
Yeah, that's
So
true. Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, you're gonna have to like just have a roster spot filled with unplayable for a while, but
Yeah.
maybe it'll turn out if he's playing the long term. I had a question for you. With all the rookie wide receivers, I think I agree with Blassie that Jordan Addison, I think, is the number one, but I think number two would be clearly Zay Flowers. What are your thoughts on the rookie wide receivers?
I actually had JSN number one on my board. So I was
Really?
JSN, Addison, Flowers were the three that I ranked it that way. Because JSN, I guess he hasn't played a lot recently, but literally what blew me away was that 3-cone drill that he did, where it was faster than anybody else ran it, and that just showed his separation that he's going to get in the slot. I think he went into a good situation with receivers on the outside already, and they're going to throw the ball a decent amount, I think, in Seattle this year. So I think he's in a good spot. Addison, definitely number two. I mean, we've seen it time and time again in Minnesota. They're really good at developing receivers. And it kind of works with Kirk Cousins. I never really know why, but it always kind of seems to work out. And then I had Flowers three. I thought he was a better receiver than Quentin Johnston, even though Quentin's in a better situation, I think. I think Quentin's just not all the way an elite fantasy talent or an elite receiver. So I guess that was how I'd rank those four guys.
Yeah, JSN. I think just Addison will probably have the quickest, or maybe even Zay Flowers might have the quickest, just because he's probably be able the quickest to get the number one receiver on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But obviously, it can easily change,
Yeah.
and we'll probably see a clear front runner in the second half of this season.
I would agree, and it's so hard to know even this year who's going to be good because you don't know where guys end up and where quarterbacks go. So let's move on into then our full draft grades for each team. So I won't grade my team, and Tyler, you won't grade yours. But other than that, we're going to grade everybody else's team. So I'll start because you're all the way there on the left, Tyler. I'm going to give your draft a B. I'm going to go with a B. The Jahan Dotson pick was kind of confusing to me. I mean, he might be good this year. I'm not totally
I
sure,
love
but there
Jahan
was
Dotson.
still some rookie receivers on the board. I like the Gibbs pick. I think that was the right thing to do. And I guess you have Daniel Jones now. I don't know.
If he runs, they said they want to make him run even more. And I'm like, if they want to just kill this man, I will take the fancy points from it. Jahan Dotson, I'm very big on the Commanders until that name gets changed in 2 weeks. Believing in that offense, and I believe in Jahan Dotson.
Okay. So you can go ahead and grade my team.
Oh yeah, sure. That's so honestly, you had the easy first pick. That's just a layup, and then Bryce Young, solid pick. Like we already talked about. I don't know if I would do that. Zay Flowers is a solid pick. I said, Pacheco. I think he's one of my favorite running backs. That's not on the team that I like.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the way he plays. And then a lot of your team, Jamal Williams or
Jameson.
but
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, Jameson
He's
Williams.
suspended for those first 6 games, but he was so good at Alabama.
6
That was
games,
the only
wasn't it?
reason I decided to
He
take
was,
one flyer
but-
on him.
Yeah, I had to drop him just because he already annoyed me. I'm not spending
Yeah.
a year and a half of not playing him. I don't know. I'd probably give you like a C plus B minus range.
All right. I'll take a C plus B
No,
minus.
no, I'll give you a solid B because you had just Bijan. So
Okay.
B.
Yeah,
B.
just because I did get best player on the board, so I think we gave each other Bs. So there we go. Shout out us for really taking some risks
Wow.
right there, giving each other some
Yeah.
Bs.
Yeah.
So
I guess nobody really wants to be the D grade like Adrian last year.
So moving on to Team Trich. Oh, I guess I'll throw this back up right now. This is the full draft board. If you see a lot of players on here in the 6th, 7th, and 8th round that you would never draft, those were the penalty picks. That's why those guys had those picks. Those guys were assigned ahead of time. So we're not really including those in our draft grades. I was doing it to you. I don't think Tyler was doing it to me. So Trich really only had 5 picks because he had all of those penalty guys there at the bottom. I think in his 3 picks before the kicker and defense, he did pretty well. He got Richardson. Sam Laporta's might be good, and Ayuk at least has a job. I'm going to go C+, just because you only had the real 3 guys to draft.
I'm gonna go a little controversial. I think I'm gonna give him a D plus C minus range.
Oh, wow.
He already has good quarterbacks with
Yeah.
Tua, Lamar, and Mahomes. He could have traded back, gotten some value there. Ayuk I do like, but then Laporta, tight ends never production year 1, even year 2 not really. It's like year 4 to 5 they start becoming fantasy monsters. Yeah, I think there is room for improvement.
Room for improvement there in that 3 slot. It was a very valuable 3 slot. So moving on to Team Blasi, I think they had one of the better drafts out of anybody. They got Addison, they got Bigsby. And I guess you're not big on the tight ends, but I think Dalton Kincaid is going to be a pretty good tight end. He's in a good spot. So I'm going to go with a B plus here for Team Blasi, my best draft grade so far. He did well with what he had, I thought.
I do love Tank Bigsby. I think he's going to be a nice 1-2 punch because I don't think ETN is going to be a workhorse work belt. What doesn't matter. Running back and Jordan Addison, like I said before, I think he's going to be legit. I really like him. But Dalton Kincaid, I think he could be production, but not in a first or second year.
Yeah. So moving on to Tortoise Lips here, that is Joe. That is one of the new guys in the league. I think he had one of the more interesting strategies of drafting. He didn't pick a rookie. He was only picking guys that were good for a win now kind of strategy. When I'm looking at it through that light, I think I'm still going to give him a C. Like, he was picking pretty much best guys available that could help him this year, but there's just not a lot of longevity in these guys that he picked necessarily. And he didn't really have anyone on his team already. Any of his keepers were really a longevity sort of pick either. So if it cashes in this year, I could look back and I could look like I was wrong. But I'm going to go with a solid C for Tortoise Lips in their first draft.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out for Van Dorn last year, going the all-in route, just buying a lot of talent to win now. It could work out now, but I honestly would go probably like a C range. And I realize I also didn't give Blasi a grade, so I'll also give him C plus. So there we go.
All right, so moving on to the Alamo. Last year they were the standard. It is my dad, Bob. So he had all of his picks. He was able to use all of his picks just like Tortoise Lips was. He did get Quentin Johnston, and he took the risky pick of Jonathan Taylor, and then he just started picking all of these young running backs. So I'm going to go, just like us, a solid B. I think he did well. It was a risky pick, I think his first 2, but I think collecting all of the rookie running back talent he collected later on made it kind of worth it, where if 1 or 2 of those guys hits that he drafted, I think he's going to be in a really good spot, where he doesn't need them all to hit. He only needs really a couple.
Yeah, he already has a couple solid production backs with Jacobs and Najee. So, and then I guess John Taylor, he can just wait out the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I also really like Devon A-Chain. Maybe could be a plug play on bye weeks for Jacobs or Najee. But then the other guys are just flyers. And then if Quentin Johnson hits, it'll be really nice because I think he's a very boom bust guy. So I'll give him B minus.
Okay. So moving on to Team Van Dorn here. He took JSN, who was number 1 receiver on my board. He got Zach Charbonnet, who I think goes in kind of a weird spot in Seattle. I don't know what that's going to be and how they're going to use that. But he got young running backs and a young receiver. I was thinking this was one of the better ones, and then he drafted two defenses. I don't necessarily know why he picked two defenses. They're also playing each other the first week, which is interesting because the Jets and the Bills are the Monday night game this week. So I don't know if there was some kind of strategy in that. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go with a C+. I really like JSN. Charbonnet is a rookie. I think Roschon Johnson might get that job. The two defenses confused me, but I think he had a fine draft when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Alex's draft a lot. I was going to give it like an A minus, but then the two defenses, I'll give it a B plus. But I like long term was Charbonnet and JSN, and then Roschon I think might be taking the. I think he'll take the Browns for sure next year.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of potential with him.
Yeah. So moving on to the Big Munches draft over here. Also anti-rookie, no interest in any of the rookies or young players. He kind of went all in with some older talent, guys that have jobs. Michael Thomas, absolute wild card, no idea what that's going to be. Brandon Cooks in Dallas, also don't know what that's going to be. So yeah, kind of an interesting draft from the Big Munch. I'm going to go C-. I think I gave him a D or maybe even F last year. I'm going to go C- this year. He proved me wrong last year. We'll see what he does this year.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not being a coward. I'll give it to him. I'll give him a D. I don't like the Michael Thomas pick. He's not even the best wide receiver on his team. He hasn't played in forever. Brandon Cooks, fine pick. I think he actually is a nice value. Elijah Mitchell might be also a good pick, but I think there's better picks later.
All right, so moving on to Zach's team, Z Steezy. I believe he is Ground and Pound Town is what he named his team. So he did not have a first pick. He gave it to me. This was his first draft. So his first pick was C.J. Stroud, followed by Carr, and all these guys. You can see it on your screen now. I think from what he did quite well. So I'm going to go B+. He didn't have that first pick, and he really was able to hit his needs. His team stays pretty good. He gets probably one of the best handcuffs in Tyler Algier. So yeah, I'm going to go B+, one of my better draft grades for Z Steezy.
Yeah, it's hard for like Ryan Day to figure out what's like actually his team and what's not going to be because like even Ryan Day had some success, still living off past coaches. So I mean he did draft well. He got Stroud. I mean it was his third choice. He didn't really have to make a hard decision. Carr was an interesting decision, but might be working. Rashad Penny, maybe Lazard. Yeah, he might be a good number 2. And then Tyler Algier, I actually do think it's a good pick. They did run the ball the most and most efficiently last year. So I'll give him, I don't know. If it was just him drafting, probably like a C-, but because overall he had a good team as well, I'll give him like a C+.
Yeah, for what he had, that I guess that kind of played into my thought process as well. So moving on to the last pick in the draft, last year's champion, it is Nate, going by Pound Cake this year. He basically did Joe strategy. He wasn't taking rookies. He was taking pretty much best players on the board. I think once again he did very well. It seemed like anybody that I thought was going to come to me ended up getting drafted by Pound Cake or Nate because it just kind of kept working out. Like I wanted Dave Montgomery and then he got him. I guess that's kind of the only one that I thought. But I think pretty good here. I think I've had pretty consistent draft grades. Because of the lack of rookies, I'm going to go B-. If he picked 1 or 2 rookies, I'd probably go B+, but I'm going to go B-.
Yeah, he already won, so he already had a good roster, so he tries to keep that momentum going. Alexander Madison, love the pick. I think he'll be great. James Conner is also a great pick. Dave Montgomery, maybe he'll work out, but I don't see anything with him. But getting Juju, if his knee doesn't explode randomly, it might work out because he would probably be the number 1 receiver. But, yeah, he really had a good team. Sky Moore is a nice flyer. If it works out, that'll be very nice because be the Patrick Mahomes running ball. And this week, he might be the number 1 target. So, yeah, solid C+.
Okay, there you go. So pretty similar draft grade to what I have. So let's move on to our award predictions. We had a lot of weekly awards last year, and then if you watched our award show at the end of the year, I think we had like 20 or so awards that we gave out at the end of the year. I think everybody in the league got an award last year. So this year we're going to pick 3, maybe 4. I'm thinking about maybe doing a 4th one. I think I know how it might go, though. So the first thing is, who do you think is going to be the MVP? Who's going to be the best fantasy player this year? Tyler, you can go first with your MVP pick.
I think I'm gonna go Van Dorn. I think Van Dorn.
No. Not who's going to win. What specific fantasy player is going to be the best? Like last year was Justin Jefferson. Who do you think is going to be the fantasy MVP? Who's going to be the best player who's going to win someone a championship?
I'll go ahead and let you go first on that one. Cause
All right. See, it's to me this is now somewhat of a tough pick. I'm going to go with Justin Fields. He's my MVP. I think he's going to be the MVP. I think Van Dorn has a really good team this year. I think Justin Fields is going to be one of the reasons he wins. One of the main reasons he wins.
I was going to go Justin Herbert because I think he has potential to be the number one quarterback in the league,
Okay.
fantasy-wise. But Alex can't have both those. So, who would win the league? I don't know. We'll go, you know what? Aaron Rodgers.
Interesting
Wasn't slept
pick.
on.
Interesting pick.
Maybe a top 5
Interesting pick.
upside. And if he does that, gets the whole offense running, potential booming.
Him.
Let's see.
I had a couple of guys on the list. I think Garrett Wilson has a chance to be fantasy MVP by the end of the year. And there's one more that was in my head. It just left my brain. Man, I don't remember. And anyway, there were still a couple more guys, but I think we both have our predictions locked in. I have Fields, and you have Aaron Rodgers. That's a very interesting pick. All right, so our L of the year, who you think's going to flop the hardest? Someone that's maybe somebody kept or somebody drafted high that isn't going to end up being that good. Mine, and this might be. Actually, you can go first, Tyler. I'm still looking. We probably should have decided before we started recording who these predictions were going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's week 1 for us, too. Still getting the rust off. I think the early lead has to be taking Aaron Jones or Jonathan Taylor in the first round.
Yeah. They both have potential to not be very good picks.
I think it might be I'll take them as I'll pair them as the L's.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to predict, for some reason Zach's just getting absolutely destroyed in this video. I'm going to take all 3 of his running backs. Because he had one of the best backfields in all of fantasy football last year that he had. It was Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, and Nick Chubb. I'm going to say that they don't put up the numbers that they did before. So I'm going to say it's going to be one of those 3 guys going to be L of the year, Derrick Henry, Cook, or Chubb. Someone's over the hill. There's no way they're all 3 good.
Yeah, and it'd just be easier if you just did his whole team because now Kupp's injured. I mean, what a joke he is. But yeah, what's the next award?
So it's going to be Russell Wilson Bathroom Player of the Year. And this is a player that might have gotten overpaid in the offseason or is on a new team, has to buy a new house, and that's not going to throw as many touchdown passes as they have bathrooms in their house. So I have a pretty obvious pick, at least in my mind. I'm going to go with Daniel Jones. He got a bag this offseason. He got a ton of money, like $40 million a year, so he can buy a very nice house. And he might not throw more touchdown passes than he has bathrooms.
I was going to go I might go Derek Carr to the Saints, but then I think
That's interesting. Yeah,
it's not great. I don't know. Just because it's a quarterback. Can I go outside quarterback?
No, it has to be a quarterback because it's the amount of touchdown
Okay.
passes you throw.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we'll go Derek Carr. It's an easy pick.
I think that's a fine pick. I'm gonna say that's a fine pick. All right, so we're going to now pick our playoff predictions. So there's 4 teams that get in. Huh?
Shockers on Zach's team. But yeah, carry on.
So there are 4 teams that get in. Each division winner gets in, and then 2 wild cards. So you can really pick 3 teams from a division if you want, or 2 from each. So Tyler, I'll let you have your 4 first if you'd like. If you'd like to defer, I can also go.
Yeah, I just want to make sure who's in each league. I think the 2 Justins is going to be the division winner.
Mm-hmm.
The Pound Cake, yeah, I think they're going to be the division winner. And then the other 2, I think is going to be myself.
Okay.
And the, you know what? Why not the Alamo?
Okay, all right. So you got yourself the Alamo. So you got 3 teams from the division from our division and 1 team from the other side.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to have from our division as well. I'm going to have Van Dorn's team winning our division. On the other side, sleeper pick, I'm going to go Team Blasi to win that division. I think his young guys are going to kind of turn the corner this year, and he's going to be in a pretty good spot. I think that he's I think that division's up for grabs after the changes on that side. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. My first wild card, I'm going to go Team Trich. I think that Mahomes and Lamar are pretty good quarterbacks, and I think that's going to work out for him. He missed the playoffs last year. I think he's going to do everything he can to make the playoffs this year. And with that last and elusive spot, this might be a little bit of bias, but I'm going to go with myself. So we both put ourselves in the playoffs. But if I weren't to choose myself, I'd probably go with the Alamo as well. I think they got a pretty good team this year. I think those quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence and Pickett, might both take steps. So I think that's why they're on my radar, teams that are going to get in.
Okay. Not bad.
So going to our egg bet update, this is what we did last year. As you might have noticed, there was not an egg throwing off-season videos because it's not happened yet. But I'm going to be in Chicago in about a week and a half, and we're going to do it then. So on Sunday for football, or maybe Saturday, we haven't decided yet, Hal's going to throw 6 eggs at me. So I'm thinking we're going to have the same bet again this year. I think it's a pretty fair bet. The amount of games that you win by is the amount of eggs that you throw at the other guy. And we're going to pick every single game in our league this year. So I'll let you kick it off, Tyler. The Big Munch versus the Alamo.
The Big Munch versus the Alamo, that's going to be a hard one because I picked the Alamo to make the playoffs, but also choosing against the Big Munch has never been a productive thing to win the egg bet. Let's look this up. Again, great production.
All right, I'll go first pick. I'm going to go with the Alamo. Trevor Lawrence is playing against Indianapolis, and sleeper pick for the Alamo, they have Calvin Ridley as their number 1 receiver. So that combination could prove pretty well in Indianapolis with a new coach. They don't totally know what they're doing yet. I think if they're going to ride those two guys to a victory in week 1.
I'm going to go the Big Munch. I think the Big Munch has
so
it.
we're split. First pick of the year, we're split.
Yeah. I think they're going to do it. I think they got enough pieces.
All right, so moving on to Taurus Lips versus Team Blasi. I was pretty high on Team Blasi. I think I'm going to take them in this first week matchup. I'm a fan of their players. I think Garrett Wilson is going to kind of step onto the scene, cement himself as a pretty elite fantasy talent here in this first week, even against a good defense in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm re-looking at the matchup, and I messed up not having Blasi. I think Blasi was, if I had a 5th selection for the playoffs, he would be it. I think Blasi takes this and takes this comfortably.
Yeah. All right, so we got Pound Cake versus Ground and Pound Town. So it's the last year's championship rematch, except this time it's not two brothers. It is Zach versus Nate. And I'm going to go with the champion. I feel like there's no reason to not go with the champion. He won the game last year. He didn't lose any of his pieces that he's starting. If anything, his team's even better because he has more running backs. So I'm going to go with Team Pound Cake. I'm going to go with Nate.
Yeah, this is an easy Team Pound Cake. The Pound Town's number 1 receiver is injured. I'm going to go the Pound.
Yeah. I think that's a great pick. And then the next game here is going to be Team Toman versus Team Trich, Team Jacob T7. I'm going to pick against you. I'm going to go with Team Trich. He's got better quarterbacks, pretty good receivers. You might actually have him on the receivers, to be honest with you. But much better running backs, even though you have fine running backs. Actually, your team isn't as bad as I thought it was, Tyler. But I'm still going to go with Team Jacob T7.
Yeah, I'm picking myself.
There you go. Simple as that.
Yep.
And then it is me taking on just two Justins in what is going to be, I think, a very, very good matchup. You can pick first because I know who I'm picking.
Yeah, I'm picking two Justins.
I figured you were going that way. I think that we're sleeping on Bijan coming out of the gates fast, 3 touchdown performance. DJ Moore is going to be a 1,200-yard receiver this year. Mark Andrews playing Houston. Who's even on Houston? So I'm going to go with myself and my very talented team because Kelsey's not playing. He has to start Darren Waller. That's a big difference. Travis Kelce to Darren Waller. So I'm going to pick myself. And as always, whenever we go through my team, we're going to be going through the Gabe Davis cycle this year because Gabe Davis is the highest and has the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. So here's the Gabe Davis cycle. And I think this year we're going to be starting the Gabe Davis cycle on Cut Gabe Davis. He's not starting for me right now. He was barely a keeper for me. So the Gabe Davis cycle is sitting at Cut Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I think he's a perfect guy for a best ball league, where you just draft like a bunch of players, and if he does well, he starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does. Maybe more productive.
Maybe
But-
we'll see if he's productive, then I know what I'll say, because
You'll
y'all
drop
said
him
cut
next
Gabe
week.
Davis. Y'all
Yeah,
said
you'll
cut
drop him
Gabe
next
Davis,
week.
but this week we're saying cut Gabe Davis. So
All
that's where we're at. So Tyler, do you have any other thoughts as we wrap up our first video of the year? Any well wishes for anybody? Any final thoughts on our league this season?
I just want to welcome the new owners. I hope. They feel
Hold on,
welcome.
we don't use the O. We don't use the O word. The new governors.
I apologize to the new governors. I hope they feel welcomed, and I'm excited for a new year. It's gonna be great.
Yep.
All right,
I'm
so
also, I'm very, very excited, and it's good because this is the time of year where everybody's trying. No one's tanking as of yet, so everybody's got their best foot forward, and everybody thinks that they can make the playoffs, which is exactly where you'd want to be going into a new season. So I'm very, very excited. So yeah, thank you for being with us for this whole video, and please stick with us all season as we go through the Not Fancy League. So thank you very much.
See ya.